Hello friends and welcome into another video. I'm DustFood and today I want to take a break from my usual style of content and I want to bring you something a little bit different. So normally what I do is I hop on here and I say, hey, here are developments in Dead by Daylight. Here's how I feel about this killer, this survivor, this perk, this map, whatever. You know, it's just news, right? It's almost news-like, it's analysis, it's video essays. Well, today I don't want to do that. Today I want to give back because I look back at my time in Dead by Daylight, which is somewhere around 5 years now. And it's crazy to me because I was not always into it. When the game first released, I was not interested in it. When the game first came out, instead of playing it, I was playing Friday the 13th. That was my game of choice. I loved it and I had a great time with Friday the 13th. I'm very, very sad that it died. Despite this, I not only ended up playing Dead by Daylight, but I've made something of a side hustle out of it. Look, I have a real world job and it's what I do to make my income. However, I do play DBD pretty frequently. I stream it. I make YouTube videos about it. It's safe to say it's become a big part of my life, and I'm very grateful for the game. But what I'm also grateful for would be the content creators who actually inspired me in various ways, whether it's just to get into the game, to make content about it, yada yada. We'll get into that and we'll break it down. But look, you're going to know some of these names and you're not going to know some of them. This is not really made to be a video with any one specific purpose. It's kind of trying to cover several bases. You know, for the lesser known content creators on here, I'd really like to send some love and support their way. And for the larger ones, this is really just me being a pretty small content creator, but one whose channel has seen substantial growth here lately. And I want to say thanks. I want to thank them for the help that they've given me, even though they almost definitely did it unknowingly. Before we get into it, I do want to give just a quick honorable mention here to somebody who didn't quite make the list, but is still one of my favorite content creators, and it would not have felt right to make this without him on there. So quick shout out to Tofu. You probably are familiar with Tofu, but Tofu is everything I would like to be as a content creator, in the sense of just being a wholesome, chill dude who plays the game to have a good time. He's not out here making people's days worse, taking it too seriously. He's just having a good time. Also, I want to say he was the first one I ever heard use the word duder, which if you've watched my live streams, you know, I abuse that word. I use it way too much. So shout out to Tofu. He's amazing. I will include his links in the description as well. But without further ado, let's get into the list proper. Number one is the person who got me into Dead by Daylight, and this is not likely to be somebody that you're super familiar with because, you know, in terms of raw numbers, he's not a massive content creator, but that is Montori. The actual screen name is xMontoriX, and this is a guy who I actually just happened to stumble across one of his Mixer streams back in the day, back when Mixer was still a thing, where he was actually a partnered streamer on Mixer, and I just kind of had this curiosity. I'd been playing Friday the 13th for a while, and I knew there was kind of this quasi-rivalry between F13 and DBD. And, you know, I was like, okay, well, let's just watch somebody play DBD. Let's see how that goes. And at the time, I don't think it was that he was like the highest viewed or whatever, just something about him. I was like, okay, well, we'll click on this guy's stream. And I watched it for a bit, and I still, to this day, it's crazy. I still remember that he was playing against a Huntress. And I was watching it and I was like, wow, this is extremely cool. This is such a cool concept. I can't believe I've been kind of avoiding it just because I liked another game. That was rather silly of me in hindsight. Now, you know, I'll try to own up to it and say I was still in college at the time. But by college, you should be able to think independently and not just hate one thing because you like another. So I watched DBD and I was pretty instantly hooked. I actually bought the game that day, started playing it. Fun fact, this is a quick aside, my first game I played as Michael Myers. I had no idea what I was doing and I face camped this poor survivor just to death. And I got absolutely abused in the post-game chat. And by the way, this was on Xbox, so that means they took the time to type it out with their controllers, which is way harder, so they were legitimately pissed with me. But anyway, that's not super relevant. The important thing is that Montori was the first person I ever watched do Dead by Daylight. And it really was something where it was love at first sight with the game. I was very hooked immediately. And Montori is on Twitch these days. Again, as with everyone that I'm going to talk about today, his channel will be linked in the description below. So make sure you go show some love there. And look, here's my deal. I can't say that I've been watching a lot of Montori ever since I got super into it. It's just kind of how it goes. You know, you watch some creators, you kind of, you only have so much time, right? You only have so much time. You only have so much time to make your content, to watch other people's, and all that. But I looked, and the dude's still grinding. The dude's still putting out streams, and I'm very happy for him, and he's a chill dude. So make sure you do go show Montori some love, because without him, I don't want to say I never would have gone into Dead by Daylight, but I do want to say that it's entirely possible it would have taken me a lot longer. So I really, really appreciate Montori and the help that the help he did me. Again, unknowingly, he didn't know that he was going to be getting me into DBD with that. He was just streaming, you know, just doing his hustle. And I really do appreciate it. So make sure you show Montori some love. You may not have known Montori, but I'm pretty sure you'll know this next guy. This is Noob3. Now, Noob has been a little quiet on the DBD front for a while. Obviously, it's no secret. Noob's been very open and very transparent about the fact that he deals with mental health issues, which, as somebody who's suffered from some of the same stuff, but, you know, with way less pressure put on me, certainly I've had mental health issues in the past, and I haven't had millions and millions of people watching me saying, hey, when are you going to come back? When are you going to make more content? Before anything else, I want to make sure this is not me making some kind of plea for Noob3 to come back to content creation. Noob seems like a great dude, and I just really hope that he does what he needs to do. And people tend to say, oh, I hope he takes the time and comes back right. If he never comes back at all, I can respect that. His legacy is set in stone. This dude, I think this is a guy that got a lot of people into Dead by Daylight. This is a guy who really changed the game in a lot of ways. And I find myself, to this day, I'll go back and I'll watch some of Noob's videos just because there's this insane nostalgia about every aspect of it. It's seeing the game when perks used to be so different, when maps looked so different, when the whole game was just, frankly, it was a lot uglier. The game graphically was a lot uglier than it is today, but that didn't really matter because it was really fun to see. There was just this era of fun. It was kind of the Wild West days of DBD. And I do think that there is this deserved nostalgia about it. And when I think back to that time, while there are plenty of content creators I was watching back then, you know, guys like Monto and True Talent and all that, it's Noob that stands out to me as being the cream of the crop. This is a guy I cannot get enough of. His videos, you look back on them, right? It's not anything revolutionary, right? The sound effects, the showing off good gameplay, all that, you know, those things are kind of, channels that do that, you could argue, are a dime a dozen. What really set the channel apart was Noob himself, and this unique sense of community that he brought to everything he did, and the sense of humor that he had that was really just next level. So I really, really appreciate Noob3, and I guess one thing, I had to include him on here because he was such a big influence for me, even if I don't think his content and mine reflect one another. You know, he liked to be playfully toxic. I don't do toxicity very well. He did he did skillful plays. I don't really make those. I'm not super good at the game. I'm very upfront about that. You know, I don't want to say that he inspired my content in the sense of, oh, I made it to look like his. He inspired it in that, oh, look, it's out here. It's fun to make YouTube videos, and I do appreciate him for that. And more than anything, I highly doubt he'll ever see this, but if he does, dude, I just hope he's doing all right. I really, really hope Noob is doing all right. Next up, we have Otsdarva. Look, you know who Otsdarva is. If you're watching my videos, you know who Otsdarva is. And I'm not going to, I don't know, I'm not going to spend too much time saying things that everybody already knows. The reason I want to shout out Ots is because for as bad of a player as I am, I'm 1,000 times better because of him. Ots has taught me so many little tricks that have helped me to become a much, much better DBD player, and I genuinely appreciate him for that. It's really cool to me that this guy saw this game where it was all like Huntress, you know, trick shot montages, and he said, okay, but what if we actually taught them? What if I became Professor Ots? And I showed the community how to play this game a lot better. And I really appreciate that. Not only did he do that, but Ots does not condescend. Ots does not come in here and say, oh, well, fine. I will descend from the heavens and teach you how to play DBD. No, Ots just comes along and says, hey, here's some tips, here's how this goes. And along the way, he makes a lot of fun builds. This is a guy who is intent on exploring the game and getting the most out of it, and he's doing it all with a smile on his face and a wholesome outlook. I appreciate him. A special shout out actually goes to his girlfriend Evantic, who is also a streamer, and I think she's kind of underrated. Like sometimes I look at the numbers she does for streaming, and I don't know, I don't get it. I really feel like at least from my perspective, you would think that there would be like maybe a little more rub from the association with Ots, but for whatever reason she doesn't get the viewership she deserves. And yeah, I know this isn't about her, but I did want to give that shout out. Also to Anna Chess, who he's been coaching here lately. Fantastic. She's been the streamer I've been watching most here lately, just because it's so fun getting to see a newbie's perspective on DBD. But that wouldn't have been possible without Ots, who introduced me to both of those streamers, and I really appreciate him for that. And I would say that overwhelmingly Ots is the best thing to ever happen to the DBD community. So, you know, big ups to Ots. I don't have to tell you who he is. You know who he is, but it would not have been a complete list if I didn't put him on here. So thank you so much to Ots for really everything you've done, not only for me, but for DBD as a whole. Next up, we have not the largest streamer, but probably my personal favorite, Yerv. Now, Yerv is kind of interesting because Yerv does not, I don't want this to sound like an insult, Yerv doesn't bring anything exceptionally unique to the table, right? Something that you look at and you say, wow, only Yerv. The only thing that Yerv brings to the table that nobody else can is himself. And Yerv has long since been, I don't want to, he can't really be like almost my secret in DBD, because he's been doing well as a streamer for a long time, but he's never been as big as he deserves to be. And what's cool about Yerv is that his streams are just where you go to chill and you go to vibe. And Yerv has really, he's shown me a lot, you know, because I try to be a really chill player. I don't want to take the game too seriously. And that's why I like to watch streamers like Yerv, who help reinforce that. You know, oh, did you get hit with Decisive Strike? Yeah, well, that doesn't really matter. Did they have borrowed time? Yeah, that's okay. You know, does the streamer have no, not the streamer, I'm sorry, does the killer have no ed? Yeah, well, they're just using a perk that's in the game. You know, I like surrounding myself from a content perspective with people who can take that approach. Yerv is funny, Yerv is laid back, and again, like with so many people on this list, Yerv is just really kind of who I want to be as a streamer. And I don't know, I don't want this to just turn into like blind praise, because what I'm worried is people are gonna be like, oh, look at Food here, you know, kissing up to these bigger streamers. But that's not the goal of this. The goal of this is to say thank you, because my channel's been growing as of late, and I don't want it to be like, oh, look at me, I'm growing because I deserve to grow. I'm growing because I've taken lessons from people who are far better at this than me. And Yerv is definitely one of those guys. I really, really do appreciate Yerv. And for as well as he's doing for himself, he deserves to be doing a lot better. So again, links in description. Go check Yerv out. Give him a follow. Give him a sub. Send some love. Last but not least, we have one who, you know how like you have to give a disclaimer on most sites when you are promoting a product? You know, if you're promoting Raid Shadow Legends, you have to say, hey, I'm being paid to talk about, you know, this piece of trash game. I'm going to give a similar disclosure here, a disclaimer, sorry, and say that I know this last streamer on a personal level. This is Doski Lee, and Doski is much larger than me as a streamer, but she's not nearly as large as she deserves to be. So this one is just going to turn into an old man reminiscing about the good old days, but here it goes. So I played a game against Doski, not knowing her at all. We were on Larry's Memorial. I want to say I was Michael Myers. And I went back, as I often do when somebody has TTV in their name, and I watched her VOD. And I was instantly blown away, because I instantly knew this was somebody who was going to attract an audience. This was somebody who was going to grow. This was somebody who was going to do really well on Twitch. And sure enough, when we played, I had double, triple, whatever her follower count. Within like 2 months, she had doubled mine. That's how rapid that growth was. She instantly surpassed me, and she's grown this awesome, massive community, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And if you haven't watched Doski, Doski does not only stream DBD. Doski's a variety streamer. However, she plays, I would say, mostly DBD. I think that's actually in her description on Twitch, is that that's the game of choice. And I have to give thanks to Doski, because Doski has introduced me to personal friends, has rated me, and brought really tremendous people into my community. And I guess, I don't know, like for me, it gets harder when you want to talk about someone you actually know, someone you've actually talked with, you've played with, you've made memories with, because it's kind of weird, right? Like just blind praise for somebody you know. But if you're not following Doski and you're a fan of Dead by Daylight, I think you're making a mistake. In fact, I would say if you are not following Doski and you're a fan of humor, I think you're making a mistake. Doski is very, very funny and just has been a huge influence for me. Doski is very much the streamer I want to be when I grow up, despite the fact that I'm already like old as hell. I really appreciate the fact that Doski, not just me by the way, she remembers the little people. And it's really meant a lot to me that as she blew up, she wasn't like, no, I don't want to associate with food anymore. And it just really, it touches my heart. And I'm very, very, very appreciative of that. I'm a very emotional person. I'm not trying to, I didn't expect to tear up making this video. But that's going to do it for me today. Except, I guess it's not going to do it for me. Wait, I see, gosh, I got my whole mind just boggled. That's going to do it for the list, but I do have one thing to ask. Please comment below about any content creators you like that are wholesome. I have a couple others that I almost put on this list, so I would definitely consider doing a part 2, because I have some that especially recently I've been watching and just getting a really good kick out of watching their content and taking that in. So I might do a part 2 of this because there's so many amazing content creators, but please let me know down below. Who is an amazing DBD content creator that has either inspired you to make content or maybe they've just really brought you into this community? Because look, DBD is a mess of a game. Nobody's denying that. But for all of the talk of toxicity, there's an amazing community in here with a raw, beating heart. And I am so glad to be a part of it. And I'm so glad that all of you are as well. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm sorry that this almost took 20 minutes. I got carried away. I rambled. I do that. Thank you so much for all the people. Thank you so much to all the people who have subscribed and liked and viewed lately. It means the world to me that you have made a nobody from a flyover state feel kind of important. And I appreciate you for that. So until next time, I've been Das Food. Bye, friends.